What's up, good people? How are you guys doing? Hope you guys are doing well. Look at that beauty. Every corner. Ooh, look at that. Golden Dome. Amazing, right? So, today I won't be talking about the corrupted, useless, meaningless, racist guy in office. I'm gonna be talking about him or his rogue friends, his racist friends and cult. We're not gonna be talking about that today. What we are going to be talking about is the African diaspora. Right? I have so many African diasporas. I'm one of them. But here's the thing. The African youth understands today more than anything any time before that yes, a lot of African countries have flags, just like Ghanaian president said in China, Wada Meyer's interview. A lot of African countries, not most, all of African countries have flags nowadays, and they're free. But what you don't see is the neo-colonialism control of those countries. What you don't see is that the former masters still taking the resources, raw resources of the continent of Africa, the diamonds, the gold, the cocoa, the soil, right? And none of those goods is processed inside Africa. In fact, all of those resources are processed in Europe. The neo-colonialism, colonial masters of Africa, those who view still that they own Africa and Africans, those who are calling names on Africans when they travel overseas, those who are calling Africans who are in the European countries as the refugees as dirty, meaningless, useless people. The same people are still looting Africa. And no, not because they're asking for nicely. No, because they're threatening the African countries that they would destroy them if they don't give up their goods, their resources. So those masters can profit. And those countries, the same countries, can still live under the same poverty, even worse than 1960s or 1956, right? And you talk about some of those countries who were never colonized, right? Namely, we talk about Ethiopia, or the great Ethiopia, or we talk about the Liberia story, and you look at the situations of those countries today. Nothing changed, right? They may not have been colonized directly, but they have been colonized indirectly. Ethiopia is known for what? Coffee. Yet 70 to 80% of the population in Ethiopia live under poverty. There is no lack of resources in Ethiopia, yet Ethiopians are suffering because of the neo-colonialism, colonial policies. And no matter what African country you talk about or you look at, even the ones that the apartheid regimes who are there and controlling, right? Like Rhodesia, and South Africa are still struggling. Yes, South Africa may be a little bit ahead of other African countries, but no, the plan for the South Africans, the plan they have for South Africa is even worse than rest of Africa. At least the gold and the resources that they loot from Congo still are going up. But there is no plans to establish regimes that would still further the destruction of the Congolese people. Where Elon Musk, Trump, and their cult are still and every single day calling out South Africans. Why? Because they do understand South Africa is a power. They do understand that South Africa is the face of Africa. And they do understand that Africans in South Africa have more power right now to unite the continent. If they understand and stop killing the Africans who are refugees in their countries as well. Because we know all other Africans who are refugees in South Africa are suffering because of the Africans who are killing them and burning their shops and calling them outsiders. People who are supporting their revolutions only not that long ago, standing with them, willing to die for them. Unfortunately, the South Africans have forgotten that. I'm not saying that. Oh, go ask the Ethiopians, go ask the Somalis. Although the Somalian government was one of the first African countries that denounced the Rhodesia, what's so-called the Rhodesia, or Ian Smith regime, and what was going on in South Africa. But the number of Somali young men who are doing business in South Africa who were killed is countless. Anyways, out of that topic, right? That's a plan for the neo-colonialism to divide Africa, to make sure African regimes or African institutions or presidents or whatever you call stay loyal to the status quo, stay loyal and never, right, break free from that same path that was in there for the past 20 years, right? Give out your resources to your masters so the masters can profit and they set up the price. Oh, no, but you're still free. You have a flag, you have a land that we gave you, the borders that we draw for you, which is always problematic because you guys can still kill each other. No, that's not our problem, right? We'll send you some weapons and we will find you the peacekeepers who are keeping the peace, right? So you guys are kids, go ahead and fight and we'll make sure we keep the peace. Meanwhile, while you guys all do that, right, we'll take your resources. That's why you have Congo, you have Rwanda, you have Burundi, all these amazing people, really kind Africans. Like if you talk to them, every single Congolese, Rwandese, Burundese will never tell you that they hate each other. A Rwandese or Burundese will never tell you that they hate the Congolese. But they will say, we're just defending our land, right? The Congolese will tell you the same story, but it will say, the Rwandese are coming here invading us, right? What they don't understand is that this belongs to all of them. This land belongs to all of them. But the master who drew these lines wants this to continue. They never want to see peaceful Africa. They don't want to see a united Africa. They do not want to see an Africa that's working on a common purpose, right? Right? Build schools, build railroads, build roads that are really nice, right? Right? Infrastructure, manufacturing that give people to jobs. No, 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 no. Keep fighting. Be a refugee. Come to us. We'll insult you. We'll call you dirty people. While they're the same people that cause the suffering of Africans, the divisions of Africans. Oh no, now they're the policemen, they're the good people. They're the good people. And when you go out as a refugee, now you are an invader. Now you are an invader as an African going, trying to get a better life. You're an invader. But they are the same people that is funding all sides. They're funding all sides. They want this to continue so they can keep looting people, keep getting that gold, right? We don't set up, Africans never, we don't set up the price of gold, do we? We don't. How about coffee? How about chocolate? We don't process our goods, and you cannot stop. Your governments will collapse if they stop the shipment of all those goods, raw materials, right? Any African leader who says, we're gonna build, we're gonna invest, we're gonna process those raw materials in Africa, we're gonna set up the price, and whatever we collect from that, we're going to fund institutions, right? We're going to build railways. We're going to build a manufacturing, good manufacturing. We're going to fund the farmers and make sure our people don't go hungry a day. No, they won't be alive next day. Remember all the good people, all the good leaders who said, no, this is Africa and Africa is for the Africans. Where are they today? The latest was Gaddafi. You all remember Gaddafi and his vision for United Africa. I'm not defending whatever he's did or whether he's kind to his people or he wasn't so kind to his people. I'm not defending none of that. What I'm saying is the vision he had for United Africa was there. And that's why wherever you go, all Africans, majority of Africans, if you go to Ethiopia, they respect Gaddafi. If you go to Congo, they respect West Africa, they respect Gaddafi. They knew this guy had a mission, a united Africa. Why don't we have a power when you come to the world stage? When you come to the United Nations? How come there is no single nuclear nation in Africa? How come there is no single country with a veto voice in Africa? No, all marginalized, all refugees, all hungry people. That's how they see you. And then when you go across, those of young men and women who are risking their life, crossing oceans, trying to find a better life, what are they? They're invaders coming to invade Europe, changing the culture in Europe, taking over in Europe. Why are we taking over in Europe when we cannot even find enough people to fill up Africa? Why? Do you think any African diaspora wants to stay and live in Africa and in Europe and stay in prison when he knew he had miles and miles of land he can walk, he can sleep wherever he wants, he can eat whatever he wants, he can farm wherever he wants? Yeah, no, I don't want to pay insurance and then tax and then flow, right? But there's reasons why these people are fleeing, because you put systems in place so these people could keep killing themselves. So there is never a peaceful country in Africa. Yes, there are some peaceful countries in Africa, but even the peaceful ones today went through so much before. Before they sit down and figure it out, no, we don't have to be this way, right? All the South African nation, I think Mozambique might be the last one. Was it Mozambique or Zambia? Might be the last one with a little bit of trouble. The rest don't even have a trouble. I don't think there's any other African country in the southern Africa that still got an issue. Only was it Mozambique or Zambia? Not even Zambia. I think it's Mozambique. That little coast next to Tanzania, right? Where that group called Shabab still is active. But outside of that, they're all good. Central Africa might still have a little bit of tension. Central African Republic or Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda or Burundi, but that would also be solved because those areas are most vital nation countries in Africa, and if they give themselves a chance, they would still. If they have a better road systems, if they have better infrastructure, they would feed the rest of Africa from Central Africa. And that is the reality, and that is what's there. Is some of these smart leaders understand, but they cannot do anything about it, right? Remember, only few that did something. What was the Zimbabwean president? Zimbabwean president, right? The former Zimbabwean president. But they isolated him. They humiliated the entire country. They crushed the economy of that country. They literally destroyed that country, right? Look at Eritrea. They destroyed that country because of why? No one will come and use our land. This country belongs to the Eritreans. I'm not defending how long he was there. I'm not defending the lack of elections in that country. I'm not defending all of that. I'm aware of it, right? But the man said no foreigners in this country. It belongs. And actually, Eritrea is a country just like Ethiopia. It's never been like any African can go and live and walk, and I don't as far as I'm aware, there is no restriction, any for any African going to Eritrea and having a good life. As far as I mean, yes, with the opposition and those who people Eritreans who want to change and all that stuff, yes, there may be restrictions to them because obviously they want to change the system that's in place. It's understandable, but any African can go in Eritrea and have a good life. There is no police that will stop you. There is no police that will ask you a bribe. There is no arresting you for no reason, right? Similar to Ethiopia. You guys know better than I do because a lot of creators also go to Ethiopia, and I haven't seen any of them. Yes, there's some East African countries that if you go, you would have a trouble, right? You would have to constantly pay bribe to the police. You still get stopped and harassed by the police, right? But there's so many African countries you would not see that. So, to my African youth, a lot of change will come, but change will come only when we are ready to say enough is enough. The war, the infighting, all the disease that's already there, enough is enough. We need peace for ourselves, for our families, for our countries. We need to develop our countries. We need to give ourselves a chance. We need to encourage our leaders, also show them that Africa is better when Africans are united, when Africans are working together and we have common purpose, not when we are against each other and fighting each other and insulting each other and killing each other and destroying each other, right? So if you are African, let's connect, right? And keep the spirit of Africa. Someone is not it doesn't matter. We all Africans, and Africa belongs to the Africans. And hopefully one day we could have leaders who can stand to these monsters who are taking all the resources from Africa, so Africans can keep being hungry, right? I know history is well known. You know, the millions of Africans who were sold as slaves and killed and abused and tortured, right? And they know there would be one day when that story will be rewritten, right? But until Africans are ready to educate themselves, right, and to build their autonomy and make sure that no country, no colonial country can come back to Africa and take advantage of Africans, right, then the same thing will continue. I'm sorry, but the stealing and looting will continue. But until that day, my brothers and sisters, let's keep working on the common good and encourage each other and educate our young Africans and make sure they understand Africa belongs to all Africans and we can defend no matter where we are. Educated Africans in the diaspora will one day come back, will one day contribute to the educating our young ones, and the infrastructure of the continent, right? And hopefully one day, maybe, who knows, we would have a united Africa, just like great people thought about it one day. All right, until then, I'll see you.